said, if I wanted to boast, I would be no fool in doing so, because I would be telling the truth. But I won't do it because I don't want anyone to give me credit beyond what they can see in my life or hear in my message. Even though I have received such wonderful revelations from God. So to keep me from becoming proud, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan to torment me and keep me from becoming proud. 3 different times I begged the Lord to take it away. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I'm glad to boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I'm weak, I am strong. Amen. So what I just wanted to talk quickly about is, what does it mean to boast about our weakness, right? And in this verse, it's so weird, in my opinion. It's so special. Boasting about our weakness, right? It's like, it's counterintuitive. Like, boasting, most people, if you see them, they boast about what they have, you know. They boast about, you know, everything that they own, every money that they have. But in this verse, it's telling us to boast about what we lack. It's telling us to boast about what we don't have. It's telling us to boast in our weakness. So what does that mean? The first one, what it means to boast about our weakness is to be authentic. Let's say that together. 1, 2, 3. Be authentic. Like it says in part of the verse I read, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. And it opened my eyes so much, right? Because what I'm starting to realize that in this world, nobody likes a perfect person, right? Nobody likes a perfect person, or at least someone that tries to be perfect all the time. But what this verse is telling us is to be authentic with God and with everyone else, right? Be open about our weakness, right? There's something different about trying to pretend that we're perfect and to be authentic. Because God can use us if we are being authentic with Him, right? If we open up our lives, if we open up our weaknesses, and we surrender all to God, that is when He uses us, right? And the world needs to see that too. The world needs to see that we're not perfect, right? The world needs to know that we're not perfect. The world needs to see that we need Jesus as much as they do, right? The world needs to see that God actually transformed us into something beautiful. And more importantly, we need to be authentic with God. If we keep trying to pretend to the world that, you know, we're perfect, we don't have any problem, you know, everything's good, everything's fine, then we're going to forget the thing that we need the most, and that is to be authentic with God. Another thing about boasting about our weakness is that we need to depend on God. Let's say this together. 1, 2, 3. Depend on God. Right? And it says in part of the verse, it keeps me from being proud. Keeps us from being proud. So if we want God to use us mightily, you know, we need weakness to keep us humble. Because if God is already using us so mightily, it can get to our head, right? Like I was reading about Saul, you know, God used him, God anointed him so much, but it got to his head, right? He focused more on God's gift than God Himself, right? Like Paul said in the verse, if we didn't have any weakness, we would let all of God's blessing and revelation get to our heads. And we need to realize that, you know, blessings from God is so that we can come closer to God. But also at the same time, we need to be careful what we think is a blessing, right? Because a blessing is never going to make us stray away from God. But another thing is that if it's a trap from the devil, it's going to make us go far away from God. So be careful what we call a blessing in our life. Be careful what we think is a blessing. Because sometimes it's really not a blessing. right? So like the famous saying, count your blessings. That's true. Count your blessings. Be grateful for everything. But if we want to count our blessing, we need to know the difference between a blessing and a trap, right? Because not everything in our life is going to be good for us. Not everything in our life we have to accept. And another thing is, we can't, if we depend on God, we depend on Him to fix all of our problems, to heal us. But the key is, we can't expect God to fix what we don't hand over to Him. Let me share that one more time. That was a little spicy. We can't expect God to fix what we don't hand over to Him. Right? A simple example is like offering. Right? If we have a financial problem, we can't expect God to turn our financial situation around if we never hand anything to God. Right? Offering is a sign of faithfulness that God provides all that we need. Right? Even though we may be lacking in something, that God will provide. It's the same thing. We can't expect God to fix our relationship if we don't have a relationship with God. Right? We can't expect God to fix our family issue if we never come together as a family and worship God. We can't expect God to fix our financial situation if we never sacrifice anything to God. It's like what the Bible says. We reap what we sow. If we plant nothing, then we will receive nothing. Right? So, whatever we lack, God will provide as long as we hand it over to Him, as long as we sacrifice our lives to Him. Right? If we lack a relationship, if we lack love, if we lack, a father or mother figure, if we lack money, if we lack wisdom, God will provide as long as we depend on Him. Right? Because sometimes I like to see, and I like to pay attention that many times people, when they have a problem in their school or maybe when they have a problem in their family, they take it out on God. Right? Like, sometimes when people, if they have a lot of stuff going on in their school, if they have a lot of stuff going on in their family, sometimes their relationship with God gets a little farther. But if we depend on God, our closeness with Him, the way we treat Him is no different than when we're feeling good or when we're feeling bad. Because intimacy with God, depending on God, is a choice. It's not a feeling. Right? If we depend on our feeling, like, today I feel like I want to dance. Today I feel like I want to sing for God. And then the next day, I'm like, no thanks. I don't want to do it. But that is not what serving God, that's not what being a follower of Jesus is. Because no matter what we feel, we need to decide every day that we're going to serve God. We need to decide every day that we're going to depend on God for all of our needs. Right? And just the last lesson I learned about boasting about our weakness is that we need to learn to suffer well. Let's say that together. 1, 2, 3. Suffer well.
Suffer well.
Like it says, I take pleasure in the insults. I take pleasure in the hardships. I take pleasure in the persecutions. I take pleasure in the troubles. I don't hear a lot of people say that every day, right? Most times, if we want to take pleasure, it's on something good. But in this verse, it's saying we take pleasure in the bad things, right? Because we need to know that this Christian life is not easy. It's not, a walk in the park. But it's difficult. It's something that we need to fight with daily. Like, we need to fight against this world daily. Especially just today, I heard news in Indonesia, in Surabaya. There was a bombing in a church a couple hours ago, since the time zone is different. There was a bombing early in the morning in Surabaya. And 5 people died, and almost 50 people were injured. And I couldn't even think about it. I was just so shocked. And the most shocking thing is that it wasn't the only one that was planned. And then I heard news also that many of the churches in Surabaya, they closed down for the Sunday. For me, that's so strange, right? Because usually, it's like BMC or any other church, they're always open, at least on Sunday. But for this special, for this day, that they were all closed. And it's just a sign that this Christian life isn't easy. We're going to have to suffer in this life, but we need to know that after this life, there's another eternal life for us. So let me give you a small illustration. Sorry, this rope kind of short, but let's just pretend that this rope goes on forever and ever. It goes down Broad Street, it goes make a left, goes to Chinatown, goes all over the world, and it's infinity, right? This rope never ends. So yeah, you guys don't see the end. So imagine that this rope goes on forever, and that this rope represents our life, right? Like what it says in the Bible, that our life our life on this world is not forever. That one day we're going to die, and one day we're going to meet God. So let's pretend that this portion right here, this small portion, is our life on earth, right? In this small portion in our life on earth, from the day we're born, we start going to school, we go to college, we get married, we have a family, we become grandparents, all of that until the day we die. And if you think about it, it's only this small piece of the entire rope, right? It's only this small piece in this entire rope, and then the rest of the rope is our time in heaven. It's eternity. It goes on forever. It's never ending. So the thing that we need to understand is that it's much better to suffer in this small amount of time than to suffer for the rest of eternity, right? Even though it might hurt in this small amount of time, it won't last forever, right? We won't be on this earth forever. But while we are on this earth, we need to learn to suffer well. That means suffering for Jesus, right? Because once we say that we are Christians, once we say that we believe in Jesus, it's a whole new world for us. There's so many people that believe Christianity is so wrong, that believe Christianity is full of hypocrite, that believe Christianity is this and that. But if we suffer in this short amount of time, then the rest of eternity we will be with our Creator. Can I get an amen? Amen. So in summary, what does boasting about our suffering mean? It means to be authentic, to depend on God, and to suffer well. So I invite everyone to stand up. And before we close, let's just take this time once again to worship God. Let's just take this time to be authentic with God. Let's just take this time to show our love for God.